Welcome to another episode of Dreaming About Travel Podcast.
I would love to go on a vacation.
Bringing you our perspective on travel news, featured places to visit and explore, traveling tips, and much, much more. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button to travel along with us. So, where do you want to go? This is the Dreaming About Travel Podcast.
All right, well, welcome to another edition of Dreaming About Travel Podcast. This is Karl Duncan from Dream Vacations, Duncan, Desmarais Associates in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And I am joined today by the amazing Kim Peabody for Peabody Travel up in Pennsylvania, where I believe you guys are almost as hot as we are down here right now, right?
You know, we were, but we actually are having a good day today. We are only at 60% humidity, and it's in the 70s right now. It's 74 degrees right now.
Wow.
Oh, yes. So
that would be nice down here. I could just leave the windows open and stuff. Unfortunately, exactly. I think it's like 89 with a feel of about 90 something. So.
Oh, yes. Yes, that was our temperatures last week.
Yeah, well, at least it's not raining. That we've been having storms almost every day. As you know, Florida usually has every single day. But this time of year, about 3 o'clock in the afternoon is when we'll get one for maybe like 10, 15 minutes. But the past couple of days haven't rained, so it's been nice.
All right, nice. Yes, and it's sunny here. It's a beautiful day.
Awesome. Fantastic. Yeah, and then we're actually doing the virtual regional training for our company today as well. So learning a lot of great things for everybody out there that we'll be able to bring back to you all and update from our different suppliers around what's going on, especially right now. And this episode is really going to focus on some of the things that we know around travel today and travel in the future for COVID and things like that. One of the things that kind of has been on my mind lately is, you see a lot in the news around the airlines. And, initially when COVID first started, all the airlines were kind of doing a very similar thing where they were basically blocking off like the middle seats, kind of trying to keep as much social distancing as you can on that little small plane, that you don't really have much to work with anyway, to kind of keep 6 feet apart and still be able to make money to fly a plane, right? So some of the airlines are still doing that. They're keeping that middle seat blocked off. Others, American and a few others, I think United and so forth, have decided that they're not going to do that anymore. They're actually filling their planes completely. And, it's really going to be up to you as a traveler, whether you feel comfortable with that or not, and which airline you're going to feel more comfortable with their protocols. For the most part, before you get to the plane, they're all pretty similar. Everybody's, checking temperatures, making sure you have a mask that's required for all the flights, and making sure that they are kind of checking everybody to see, if anybody's going to be spreading the disease anywhere. But when you've got a bunch of people on a plane, 100 and some people tight in there, it's up to you how you feel with that, so and what your comfort level is going to be. So we can't make that decision for you. Each of you have to make that decision for yourself and whether you're ready to travel. And that's kind of where we are today. And Kim, any thoughts on that yourself?
I am actually hoping to be flying out of here in September. And I do agree with the mask on the flights. American Airlines is one of the ones that we're going to be flying on. And like you're saying, they are allowing, the planes to be filled, but to where everybody needs to have a face covering while on the plane. So yeah, definitely have your mask with you. And I'm excited about a lot of the resorts that are now open.
Yeah, I mean, we've been posting on our Facebook page a lot of the openings. I know we started with like the U.S. Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico. Some of the other Caribbean islands have started to open up. I believe Aruba is now open, Antigua.
Yeah.
Turks and Caicos, I know, is coming up in, I think it's next week. Turks and Caicos opens up. So definitely. And Jamaica's open.
Yes.
Which I know You love Jamaica with Sandals, and I know Sandals is doing some really cool stuff. So maybe you want to talk a little bit about what Sandals is doing to kind of make their guests feel comfortable.
Yeah, so with Sandals and Beaches Resorts, they're always top notch anyway, always very clean. And during this, the resorts are have what they call a platinum protocols of cleanliness.
I like the sound of that.
Yes. So they're making sure they are staying on top of the cleaning. They are hand sanitizer is throughout the resort. The restaurants and the areas are big enough for plenty of social distancing there. I could tell you the Antigua, Jamaica, Bahamas, St. Lucia, they're all open right now. Open and guests are there. The Sandals and Beaches, Barbados is going to be opening on August 7th, and then Grenada is opening October 1st.
Okay.
So reservations are opened and definitely safe to travel there.
And I think they're also limiting, the number of guests too that can come in. Am I correct on that?
They are. Yes.
Yeah, so we're not going to have necessarily a full resort. So you still, in addition to just being a big resort to begin with, so it helps with social distancing initially. The fact that they're also going to limit the guests that are at each resort even makes it better, So
yes,
for those that might be like, well, I didn't want to have, elbow room at the, dining at the restaurants and so forth. It's not going to be like that. And the tables will be spaced out and things like that as well, right?
Yes. And another thing they're doing is they're allowing guests to actually do online check-in. That way they're not, and this way, then when they arrive to the resort, they can go right to their room rather than going into the lobby and doing their check-in at the lobby.
Yeah, and what I've seen too from a lot of guests that have already traveled and other agents within our company that have traveled, is that they are doing a great job of keeping people as they arrive socially distanced. Having masks at many of the resorts as you enter the resort and check in and so forth. The staff has their own masks. They have the gloves.
Yes.
They're sanitizing everything. So it seems like they're taking a lot of this real seriously. Some really good protocols that they're putting in place for guests arriving.
Exactly, they are, and guests that are there are having a wonderful time.
Yep. I'm sure they are. I would love to be there too myself.
Yeah, me too. Exactly.
Yeah, but like we said earlier, not everybody's going to be comfortable yet, which is okay, but know that those protocols are not just in place for now. Those are protocols that they're pretty much, putting in place going forward too. So even if you're not ready to travel this year, we can start traveling next year and looking at getting something ready for next year and put it on the books, so you have something to look forward to. One of the things I wanted to ask you about too is I know Club Mobay is a great option when you're going into Jamaica, and I'm hearing some really cool things about it making the experience during the current situation even better than it is in the past. So can you give any insight into that?
Absolutely. Club Mobay is a phenomenal way to get into Jamaica. It's a VIP service, and you just pay a fee, and you will have somebody, once you get off the plane and you go down the ramp, there will be somebody standing there holding a sign with your name, and they will expedite you very quickly through customs and go with you to get your luggage, and then bring you over to, if you're staying at a Sandals or Beaches resort, they'll bring you right to that Sandals or Beaches lounge. Any of the other resorts, I know with the AM resorts, Apple Vacations and other ones we're partnered with, they have a lounge area there too. So, and then when you leave, you would go to the airport and you would check in as usual, but they have the Club Mobay lounge, which offers, little picky foods, free Wi-Fi, that's included in your price, open bar. So it's definitely a really nice way to travel if you're going to Jamaica.
Yeah,
I highly recommend Club Mobay, and ask your travel agent about it. your travel agent can get this added to your reservation for you. So.
Very cool. Yeah. And right now, especially with the COVID tests and things like that, my understanding is it's actually made it half the time it takes when you arrive in Jamaica to get to your resort and so forth. It's actually cutting that time in half right now, at least,
Yes.
So.
Yes. We've traveled to Jamaica a few times, and there was one time we didn't do the Club Mobay, and I found myself standing in line and watching the Club Mobay workers thinking I could have been through here already if I just...
You could be sitting on the beach drinking already,
exactly,
right?
Exactly. Instead of standing in this line.
That's right. Exactly. Well, and, so like we were just talking about, a lot of the Caribbean has opened up. Mexico is opening up, and over the next few months, the rest of the Caribbean is continuing to open, and there's different protocols in place. One thing I just make sure everybody knows is, be prepared to be tested when you arrive wherever you're going. Even if there is protocols that say, hey, you can submit things beforehand. If you get a test 5 days ahead of time or 3 days ahead of time, that's negative and so forth. Those countries still reserve the right to test you once you arrive there. So just be aware of that. Don't get upset about it. It's just something that has to get done, So if it happens, it's going to happen. Like Kim said, too, just make sure you always have your mask with you. Some areas it's going to be required, some it's not, but, keep it with you at all times. Just make sure that you understand it might take a little bit longer to get where you're going. Because of the enhanced protocols, that everybody's put into place. So some things that might have taken 20 minutes to an hour before might take 2 or 3 now. So just be aware of that as you're arriving on site at places. The other thing I would just highlight is, right now Europe, we're not traveling to. As a matter of fact, most Americans are not allowed to travel to Europe for right now. So, that'll be something as it starts opening up, we'll let you guys know about. We'll talk more about some of the things that they're doing over there in future episodes as things start opening and Americans start being allowed up to come back into travel in a lot of Europe. The other thing is cruises. Obviously, a lot of our listeners are avid cruisers. I know both Kim and I are as well, and we're jonesing for a cruise right now, right?
Oh, yes, definitely. Definitely.
I mean, I have another one still on the books for right now for November, so I'm keeping my fingers crossed that it happens. But hey, if it doesn't, that's okay. I'll reschedule for next year and get something next year. But one of the things with cruising as it's starting up, each of the cruise lines is coming out with their own protocols, just like we were talking about for the resorts, and just like Sandals and Beaches' Platinum program. Many of the cruise lines have something similar, and one of the interesting things is 2 rivals in the cruise industry, which is Norwegian Cruise Line and Royal Caribbean, have actually teamed up on their advisory team for health. And so they're partnering together with experts to really guide them on what those protocols should be and how they proceed once we are able to start cruising again. And, just to give you an idea of some of the things that have been tossed around for various cruise lines, is just like many of the resorts and businesses, enhanced filtration for air, putting in, UV systems and HEPA systems that really filter out all those germs and particles, enhanced screening protocols, just like we were talking about for the resorts. Same thing on the cruise lines, making sure that prior to embarkation, either there's tests that have already been done or they're doing rapid tests or whatever, checking temperatures, enhanced health questionnaires, that are a lot more detailed than the ones we've had in the past, things like that. The masks will probably be also, I'm assuming, required on almost all the ships, unless you're eating and things like that. Sanitation measures, we all remember the washy and things like that. When you're on there, they have those squirt bottles everywhere for sanitizers. But instead of them being optional, it's now going to be something that they're going to probably require, right? So the other thing is a lot of our buffets, some of us are fans of those buffets, but that's probably not going to be something that's going to be around as they get back to cruising initially. And probably see more of like sit down and service type service in those buffet areas and things like that. So, and then obviously social distancing. So You're not going to see as many of the deck chairs. I know they were scarce to begin with, but you're probably not going to see as many of them close to each other either. And then, like the pools and hot tubs, many of them, like the ones that are sailing in Europe, there's a few cruise lines started sailing in Europe right now, but they can't use their indoor pools, and the outdoor pools are still okay, but you got some social distancing set up. And then also like hot tubs, in the past you might have been in there to meet some new friends, and things like that. Now it's pretty much limited to going to be like one family, so that's what they're doing in the European area right now. And I would see that probably coming over here when we start cruising as well, where they limit the number of people that can go in those hot tubs as well because of social distancing. So
I think I read that they're not cruising at full capacity either.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, we've seen a lot of, as we look at pricing out clients and things like that, where a booking that you looked at yesterday looked like it had a bunch of options, suddenly is closed off today when you go back in. And that's because they are limiting them.
Okay.
Just like some of the resorts we talked about are limiting capacity, the cruise lines will be doing the same thing. And they're even, when they start cruising again, they're going to limit capacity initially. And then, I'm not sure if they ever will go back to full capacity because one of the things that I think they're thinking of, and that actually is part of the European plan, is that they're looking at keeping a number of cabins set aside in case anybody does get COVID. And that way they can kind of keep them separated from everybody else and keep the rest of the crew and passengers safe. So there's some different protocols like those going into play around the world. So
yeah, I still can't wait to be on that cruise ship.
Me either. I'm if my sailing in November happens, I will be there. Yeah. I am one of those people that does have a compromised immune system, so it is risky for me. But at the same time, I need to get out, right? And so as long as they put in the protocols that I'm seeing and hearing, I think I'm going to feel very safe and comfortable. I'm going to also watch out for myself. I will obviously have my own mask and my own, sanitation stuff with me. And I will keep my distance from people on purpose just because that's how comfortable I will feel, and others may not feel the same way, which is fine. Because like we talked about earlier, every person has to have their own comfort level around this travel now. So, yes. Exactly. You've got to make that decision of what works for you and what doesn't.
I agree with you.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on anything going on right now, Kim, with travel related to COVID and all that kind of stuff?
No, I just kind of, basically confirming what you said. Just make sure you have a mask with you at all times. Of course, always important to keep your hands washed and sanitized and social distancing. And hopefully we will get through this quickly.
Yes. And when you are ready to travel, try to enjoy it as much as you can,
Exactly.
And it's, if that's tomorrow or next year, great. Travel agents will be around to help you out, and we're here to help you whenever you're ready.
Yes, and people are traveling right now.
Yep, that's very true.
Yes, and the reservations are open. Yes,
that's right.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh. Great. Well, thanks everyone for listening and joining us on this episode. We'll be back with another episode very soon. Talk to you all then.
Bye-bye.